Bantu Sun, presented by the Bantu Sun. I'm Brandon. Thanks for joining us today. So, the conversation I wanted to get into was how I initially fell into the company and how we decided as an organization to launch our first product as the Jigsaw Puzzles. I guess you can say this started off with, I would say, the goal of flirtation with entrepreneurialism. I knew I wanted to have a business. I knew I wanted to account for geopolitics within that business. And I was brainstorming actually for some time. It took me over a year just looking at different business models, different interests, things that people will want, as well as something that I knew I can get fully behind and give my best efforts on. And so when I first started an organization, I actually came into the name, the Bantu Sun, as a deviation or derivative of numerous ideas. At first, we were considering the media model, but with media model, I found it a little bit more difficult. I just found it easier for me to understand, comprehend, and plan for a tangible product. So taking the media route initially, though, I was looking at different names which I thought would align with enlightenment as well as learning education, as I said, because I know I wanted to discuss and get involved and understand more myself geopolitics. So I wanted something unique, which is why I use the word Bantu, derivative of African word for people. So I wanted to take that, and as I said, looking at the media, a lot of the newspapers and media like the Herald, the Times, the Sun. So when I put that together, I was like, oh, the Bantu Sun. To me, this is the people's light. So when it was coming to the products, it was just through a lot of product research, and I came across the idea for a jigsaw puzzle. And it was one of those things, the more I dig, the more I really liked about it. Jigsaw puzzles were initially designed in Europe as a way of studying and understanding geography. So just taking that on board initially I thought was a big plus, because this is something that's been around for centuries and provided value over centuries, and I'm using it in its proper context. I'm providing that insight and understanding into jigsaw puzzles. So taking that information, I was like, okay, now how do I expand on this idea? How do I provide something valuable to the user that they can own and take into their own behavior and act out? As we say, like, our goal here is actionable insight. Not only do we want to be able to give you that understanding, but we also want to make sure it's something that you can utilize yourself to prepare yourself for it. One of the things that I was real big into was just tracking statistics. So trade statistics was one of them. So you'll notice that a lot of pretty much all of the countries are going to have like their major trade exporter on there. And the reason why I chose export as opposed to import, etc. One, if you use import, a lot of countries' primary import is going to be oil, and it's not that much differentiation, more or less. But what you do find on that export side, you start seeing those arteries form, connecting supply and demand, because most of those resources are natural. You can see the economies that have gone beyond natural resources into high-tech manufacturing. A lot of developing countries, you'll see, rely heavily on natural resources, where if you look at the more developed continents, you'll start to see high-end manufacturing in particular. So you start off with your raw resources. This is the development life cycle, but you start off with your raw resources, move on to a light industry such as automation, machinery, manufacturing of automobiles, and then the high end that I've seen as a pattern for trade exports is in medical supplies as well as in aerospace engineering. So that's on the high end of things. So you get the understanding of trade, you understand the neighbors, you combine that with the learning and understanding of demographics and the geography of things, and you really have a very logical and complete picture of how and why the world looks the way it do. You start seeing certain countries and their alliances they build and how they're trying to develop themselves, as well as their strength and what they're building on. For instance, the Middle East and oil, America, Argentina, agriculture. So you see these patterns and you can utilize these patterns, and then it gives you a understanding of functionality. Those were the main causes behind what we're looking for when we created the company, as well as what we're expecting the Jigsaw Puzzle product to do once it hit the market. We think it's a premier product for a thorough understanding of how the world works at a ground level. It's only 100 pieces because I wasn't a big jigsaw puzzle person, which is why it took me so long to eventually put this together. I understand the concept and put it into action. But once I got into it, I was like, this is a magnificent tool, and just putting the puzzle together is great for audio learners, visual learners, or textile learners, or learners where you need your hands. You learn by doing. And I think this is a great product for that. So let me know your thoughts, your experiences. If you have purchased the puzzles, I'll leave that below. I'm looking forward to reading those. Thanks for your time. And that's my Bantu Sun.